Good afternoon, I'm Andrew Haney, and today we are going to do some catch-up of all of the films that I have bought since my Part 2 of Blu-ray collection, and also try my best to keep doing Part 3, but there's a decent amount of Blu-rays that actually aren't in here right now. My collections and all that have been moved, and some other Blu-rays have been moved. So today we're going to go over all the films that I have bought and put in this collection to my left, which is your right. First with the Criterions. We've got the Battle of Algiers. This was a completely blind buy that I bought the end of last year, and this has become one of my favorite movies easily. Absolutely phenomenal, gut-wrenching film. Definitely a classic. Speaking of classics, Bicycle Thieves. This is not one of my favorite movies, but I'm still giving it a 10 out of 10 because it's a huge classic. Blue Velvet, David Lynch. I love this movie a lot. One of my favorite quotes of all time. I can't tell if you're a detective or a pervert. Love that line. In all seriousness though, David Lynch is probably one of my favorite directors. This might be in his top 3 or 2 or 3, depending on my thoughts on Elephant Man. Boyhood. I know a lot of people hate this movie, but I love it. This is one of my favorite movies of 2014. Not my all-time favorite, that's Birdman. What's preventing it from a 10, I guess, is how much of a stereotype the main character Mason, is his name Mason? By the end of the movie, so that was a big problem for me. Brazil, Terry Gilliam. I said I was going to buy this on my part 1 video, and I did. This is easily one of my favorite movies, and it's my favorite Gilliam film. The Breakfast Club. Another blind buy. I heard it was a huge classic, and I bought it, and I really like it. I don't think this was worth the price of Criterion. If I knew how much I would like it when I bought it, I probably would have purchased it on a regular Blu-ray, but that's okay. City Lights, Charlie Chaplin. Yeah, this is in my top 4 favorite movies, and it's my favorite, not by a landslide, but it is my favorite Charlie Chaplin film, and probably my favorite film from the 1930s. Modern Times, which I don't own, is a close second, by the way, for anyone curious. Ikiru by Akira Kurosawa. This actually is my second favorite Kurosawa film. Either this or Ron, which is not on Criterion. But yeah, Kakashi Shimada is amazing in this. It might be my favorite performance of his, if I'm to be honest. La Dolce Vita. I haven't seen this yet, but I want to see more Fellini films. I've only seen like 1 or 2 Fellini films. Amarcord, I think I've seen 8.5. But the reason why I bought this is because it went out of print, which is a little sad. I could not get Rosemary's Baby or anything like that, or any of the other films that went out of print, because Rosemary's Baby is another film I haven't seen, partially because pedophile. Anyway, moving on from that. I also wanted to get Don't Look Now, but that's also out of print, so whatever. M by Fritz Lang, another classic. 10 out of 10, one of my favorite movies. I don't know if I prefer Metropolis or this. Metropolis I don't own, but this, I think, is just about as good. The Criterion Blu-ray of Parasite by Bong Joon-ho. I talked about this already. I don't need to go any further detail into what I think of this movie, I don't think. So, whatever. Criterion of Roma by Alfonso Cuarón. I'll admit, the I Am Autism video that Cuarón directed did admittedly make me lose a little bit of respect for him, but this film is probably one of his best. I haven't seen Children of Men in a while, but it's either this or that is my favorite of his. Some Like It Hot. Hilarious movie. One of my favorite ending lines of any film. Probably my favorite, period. Stalker. By Tarkovsky. The only Tarkovsky film I've seen, which is a little unfortunate. But, yeah, it's as good as everybody says it is. Tokyo Story. This is one of my favorite movies ever. I don't know how high it would be on the list. It could probably be top 10 now that I think about it. Definitely top 15 for sure. Very sad, very emotional movie. So that's it for Criterion's. The Accountant, 4K Blu-ray. I know a lot of people don't like this movie. The critics didn't like it, and I like it. I think it's a good movie. 7 out of 10. Werner Herzog's Aguirre the Wrath of God. Yeah. This became one of my favorites after watching it. And the thing is, this is actually the only film of his that I've seen that is not a documentary. I've seen like a decent amount of his documentaries, like Grizzly Man, that one's great. Lessons of Darkness, probably my favorite of his documentaries. Encounters at the End of the World, Lo and Behold, what was it, Into the Inferno, Into the Abyss, the one on the prison system, that one was good. Cave of Forgotten Dreams, like all of those are all great documentaries. This is the only film of his that is not a documentary that I've seen. And yeah, it makes me want to check out his other films because this movie is amazing. Aladdin, not the terrible remake, which has aged horrendously for me. This has aged much better, by the way. One of my favorite Disney films, and I just absolutely love it. Almost Famous. I believe this won Best Original Screenplay in 2000, and that's why I bought it. Well, not the only reason. Apparently it's a great movie, and yeah, it is. Baby Driver, Edgar Wright. Love this movie. There's not much else I can say. Edgar Wright's such a great director. Okay, this one I kind of regret buying on Blu-ray, but Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This is the director's cut, before anyone asks. I don't think this is as bad as everybody says it is, at least upon rewatch of the director's cut or the Ultimate Edition, but it's not great. I have problems with it. Jesse Eisenberg is just god-awful. Doomsday is just a generic CGI monster. The story is really, really, really not that good. Other than that, this isn't as bad as everybody says it is, in my opinion. If my rating 5 out of 10, it's closer to a 4 than a 6, but I don't regret seeing this movie a second time, or at least the director's cut. So it's not as horrible as people say it is, but I don't really recommend it. Birds of Prey and The Way Too Long title. I like this movie. I know some people don't. I get it. I get why people hate this movie. I liked it. It's fun. Really fun. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn's perfect. Ewan McGregor's Black Mask is perfect. Brokeback Mountain. This movie made me sad. Well, not because it's a sad movie, although it is, but because it should have won Best Picture instead of Crash. Come on, Academy. Not cool. Casablanca. One of my favorite movies ever. This is actually my 5th favorite movie of all time, behind Seven Samurai, Godfather, 12 Angry Men, and City Lights. So, yeah, he was looking at you, kid. Of all the gin joints, of all the bars in the world, he walks in the mud. Castle in the Sky. Fantastic Hayao Miyazaki film. I do remember seeing this as a kid, but I have seen it since, and yeah, that good. Citizen Kane. Yeah, it's as good as everybody says it is. 10 out of 10. Get Out, Jordan Peele's directorial debut, and one of the better films of 2017. It's amazing. Not much else I can say. Oh hey, I forgot I own this. Gravity, Alfonso Cuarón. This is actually in 3D for some reason, but I only have the regular Blu-ray because how do I say this? I don't have a 3D player, so whatever. Juno, great film starring Elliot Page. I'm not gonna try. I've tried my best to not be transphobic because I don't want to be one of the scumbags. But so I'm not gonna misgender Elliot Page, but he is excellent in this movie, or was excellent, whatever. But regardless, this is a great film about teen pregnancy that I highly recommend. Came out in a pretty great year for movies too. 2007 was excellent. Kiki's Delivery Service, probably one of the better Miyazaki films. Very cute, very charming. Most else I can say. Lady Bird, another fantastic 2017 movie. The Little Mermaid. This was the first movie I saw in 2021, and I had not seen it in at least 15 years before then, so I had barely any memory of it. Actually, it was more than 15. It was probably 20 at this point. Yeah, it's this good. Originally, I gave it an 8 when I watched it in 2020, but further thought made me give it a 9. The Lion King, my favorite Disney movie, hands down. And before you ask, The Lion King 2019 is trash. I don't need to say any more than that. The Magnificent Seven, a decent enough remake of Seven Samurai. I kind of like it for how diverse the movie is, and how it doesn't try to be exactly like Seven Samurai, or I guess it's a remake of the 1960 Magnificent Seven, but I haven't seen that, so I'm comparing it to Seven Samurai instead. But yeah, it's still pretty good. Manchester by the Sea, really depressing. Yikes. This is my favorite film of 2016, though. I think it should have won Best Picture. Man of Steel. This is a very divisive movie, and I see why. It's very love or hate. I don't love it, but I definitely don't hate it. I actually think it's a decent enough movie. It's one of the better Superman movies. I know why people hate it, and I know why people love it. I'm kind of in the middle. My rating is a 6. But, yeah, the cast is amazing. Michael Shannon is just bonkers as the villain, and I'm not entirely sure I like him, although the character's good. The rest of the cast is fantastic, and the action scenes are awesome, even if they're too long. Midnight in Paris, Woody Allen, who is a complete scumbag, I know. I wish I owned Annie Hall, which I don't, but I've seen like 3 Woody Allen movies. This, Blue Jasmine, and Annie Hall, the last of which is one of my favorites. But this is a great movie, too. My Neighbor Totoro, my second favorite Miyazaki film behind Spirited Away. My 9 out of 10 is admittedly closer to a 10, but whatever. Nausicaa. I know this is not technically a Ghibli film, but I own it because it's Miyazaki. But yeah, pretty awesome movie. It's basically a discount Princess Mononoke. Phantom Thread by Paul Thomas Anderson. I think this is one of my favorites from him. It's my second favorite film in 2017. Daniel Day-Lewis is incredible in it. The Prestige. One of Christopher Nolan's best, most overlooked movies. Underrated? Maybe not. Overlooked? Definitely. The Prince of Egypt. This terrible poster on this Blu-ray cover, by the way. This is just a garbage Blu-ray cover, I'm just gonna say that. It looks like a baby movie on the back, but yeah, this is my favorite animated film not made by Pixar or Studio Ghibli. Hell, I think I might like it more than most Pixar and Studio Ghibli films. Speaking of Ghibli, Princess Mononoke, this movie's awesome. Prisoners. This movie's really overlooked. I won't call, maybe even underrated, actually. I think this is probably my second favorite Villeneuve film. My rating falters between a 9 and a 10. But yeah, if this came out like 20 or 30 years earlier with the same cast, same everything, this would have been considered a classic. I don't know why the Oscars and other people completely overlooked this movie. Pulp Fiction. Easily Tarantino's best. There's no competition. So quotable, so funny. I talked about it before. Go watch Pulp Fiction. Everyone else has, though. Raising Arizona, pretty good Coen Brothers movie. It's not one of my favorites, but it's actually pretty overlooked. I really like Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter, and it's a really unique story as for most Coen Brothers movies. Rango. This is so underrated. Easily the best CGI animation I have ever seen in my life. I will stand by that. Period. This movie is so good. Absolutely good. Ratatouille. Either this or one film that I'll get to later is my favorite Pixar film. The quote from Anton Ego, which I don't want to play because it's way too long, and I'm not going to quote it because it's way too long, is absolutely fantastic. You should check out Ratatouille. Reservoir Dogs. The first Tarantino film. It's awesome. I love it. The Revenant. By Alejandro González Iñárritu. Yeah, it's really good. I would have preferred this win Best Picture over Spotlight, but whatever. And I still like Spotlight, which I actually do have, so we'll get to that. The Revenant is awesome. Leo finally got his Oscar for it. The bear scene is incredible. I love that scene. It's so good. Although he did do the wrong thing. You're not supposed to shoot at a bear when it's attacking you. You play dead, dumbass. Oh, whatever. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah. This movie's really good. It's my least favorite of the 3 Planet of the Apes reboot movies. But this is honestly a really solid trilogy. It's one of the best trilogies of the modern era. Saving Private Ryan. One of Spielberg's best films. The opening scene is incredible, obviously. Tom Hanks is great. Matt Damon is as well. My only one problem with this movie, and it does not affect my rating of it at all, is that all of the characters, aside from the titular character and Tom Hanks, are really forgettable. Well, their characters aren't forgettable, but their names are. That's my problem. Schindler's List. Easily one of my favorite movies, and easily, hands down, Spielberg's best film. This is a hot take. I think this is a better film than anything from Kubrick. Really. Yes. This is a better film than anything from Kubrick. Kubrick has made more good films than Spielberg ever did. But this film is better than anything from Kubrick. Do I like it more than some of Kubrick's films? Debatable. But still. Absolutely phenomenal, gut-wrenching, very difficult watch that everybody on the planet should see at least once to see how far humanity can go for its depravity. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, a much more lighthearted movie than Schindler's List. Oh, that put me in such a bad mood for a moment. But yes, this is such a fun movie. It's one of my go-to movies for fun. Oh boy. 7. I don't know what to say about this movie. It makes me really sad, but that's the point, so I can move on from that. A Serious Man, one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies, actually. Top 3, maybe. The Shape of Water, one of the more overrated Best Picture winners, although I do think it deserved a nomination, albeit not a win. The Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, it's as good as everybody says it is. Get busy living, get busy dying. Shazam, 4K Blu-ray, easily the best DCEU film. I've talked about it before in my crummy 2019 video, so not much has changed. Again, easily the best DCEU film. Really good movie. One of my problems is the score. It's really forgettable. Sicario, awesome Villeneuve film. I don't know if it's one of my favorites, but I do really like it. Slumdog Millionaire. I don't think this is underrated or overlooked given that it won Best Picture, but not a lot of people talk about it nowadays. I still like this movie a lot. Not the best cover, but this is for The Social Network. Easily one of Fincher's best films. Like, I'm talking about good movies this whole time, I just realized. But that's because I try my best to own good movies. I don't buy bad movies unless they're part of a collection. Or if they're Batman v Superman, but I don't think that's a bad movie. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is easily my favorite Marvel movie, hands down. There's no Marvel movie that'll ever come close. Speaking of easily being my favorites, Spirited Away. This is my favorite animated film of all time. Is this ever not anyone's favorite, really, though? I mean, I'm not being very original here, so bear with me. Spotlight, a little overrated, but not a bad movie by any means. I actually really like this movie. The ending's fantastic, and all the acting's good. Did it deserve to win Best Picture? Nope. Original screenplay, maybe. I'm not upset with this winning original screenplay, though. The Sting, my favorite ending of any movie, but that's all I have to say about it. Sunset Boulevard, one of the best movies I've ever seen that has an extremely difficult plot to summarize. I don't think I can summarize the plot of this movie in one sentence. I really don't think I can. Do your best, comments, whatever. I actually love this movie. This movie's one of the best movies ever made. Isao Takahata's The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Beautiful film. Much better than Big Hero 6. I'm comparing it because it lost to it at Best Animated Feature. This is one of the reasons I own it. But yeah, it's a great Studio Ghibli film. Not one of my favorite Ghiblis, but whatever. Taxi Driver, my second favorite Scorsese film. Are you talking to me? Someday a real rain will come and wash the scum off the earth, or off the street, sorry. Yeah, either this or Raging Bull is Robert De Niro's career best performance. Tenet, great movie. Underrated, maybe. The sound mixing is garbage. Just garbage. Absolute garbage. The production design, the score, and the visual effects are fantastic. I honestly think the score is kind of snubbed. The cinematography is also fantastic, and I really like the two main characters by John David Washington and Robert Pattinson. The Third Man, rating John, because I haven't seen it yet. So yes, I haven't seen it yet, so this is not, so one of the few films on here that I haven't seen, so. There Will Be Blood, yeah, one of my favorite performances ever, devoted to drinking milkshakes. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, I'm gonna be honest, when I first watched this, it bored me. But I rewatched it and it's pretty great. Toy Story. It's Toy Story. What else is there to say? However, I do think I have more to say about Toy Story 2, which is tied with Ratatouille for being my favorite Pixar film. This is easily the best Toy Story movie, and the first one is phenomenal as well. I don't know what else to say, but it's fantastic. It's one of the best sequels ever made. Toy Story 3, not as good as the first two, but still absolutely fantastic. Toy Story 4, not as good as the first three, but still pretty great. Up. Pete Docter. I really like this movie. I don't think it deserved a nomination for Best Picture over Fantastic Mr. Fox, but whatevs. Still great. First 10 minutes is the best short film Pixar has ever made, hands down. Wall-E. This is... okay, here's the thing. If I didn't rewatch this about half a year ago, or not even 6 months ago, if I didn't rewatch this back in October or something, this would be pretty low on my list, but like, I remember this being the Full Metal Jacket of Pixar, and that the first 45 minutes is the best short film ever made, and everything after that's still pretty good. That is a huge disservice to this phenomenal, beautiful film. Easily one of Pixar's best films. The Wizard of Oz. It's my girlfriend's favorite movie. I will not mention her name here because she did not want me to do that, and I will not show her face here because she doesn't want me to do that, but whatever. It's her favorite movie, and it's definitely one of mine for sure. The Wind Rises. Great movie. Should have won Best Animated Feature over Frozen, but whatever. It might actually be my least favorite Miyazaki, though. I'm gonna be honest. Either this or Ponyo, but I still love both of them. Give both the same rating. Wolf of Wall Street. Great movie. Way too profane for my taste. Way too much nudity for my taste, but still great. This is the Wolverine collection of two films, The Wolverine and X-Men Origins Wolverine. The Wolverine is decent. It's actually pretty decent. X-Men Origins Wolverine is so batshit, I kind of like it. It's not a good movie, don't get me wrong, but I kind of find it to be more memorable than some Marvel movies, or MCU movies, I should say, because of how trashy and schlocky it is. Wonder Woman. I like this movie. It's not my favorite DCEU film, obviously, but I like this movie, and I don't think it's as bad as some people say it is, but it's not great. The sequel was terrible in a kind of a batshit way, kind of like Wolverine Origins was. But I don't want to talk about that. I don't own it, and I have no intention of owning it. Wreck-It Ralph. Pretty good Disney movie. I like it. Whiplash. Am I rushing or am I dragging? One of my brother's favorite movies, and it's one of my favorites of 2014. War for the Planet of the Apes. My rating shifts between an 8 and a 9, but I do have some problems, namely the comic relief Jar Jar-like character is god-awful. And I don't like how it, spoilers, kills off two major characters in the film, either off-screen or early on, so that was a huge flaw, but otherwise, great movie. My favorite of the Planet of the Apes films, yes, that includes the originals, Zodiac by David Fincher. One of his best films, probably his second best maybe. And the last one I have for today is Zootopia. Great movie. One of Disney's best films of the 2010s. It might be my favorite Disney film of the 2010s. For sure. Great movie. Excellent handling of modern day race relations and two great main characters. So next time I will cover some more Blu-rays that I have in another shelf. So that's all I have to say. See you next time.